Hello, it's Ren Presents time. I'm your host, Ren, and today we continue with the Hazards of the Old Ones, Part 3, Chapter 25, Skies Full of the Silvers. So, we're gonna resolve the horrific issues over planet Xandarr one way or the other in this short chapter. And we're hemming towards the end of the book. We only have about 2 chapters after this and an epilogue, and then we are done. We will be done. Last week, Captain Davage puts a call out to the fleet, and fleet captains can do that. If they're in a certain area, it doesn't matter where it is, and they see an issue brewing, a potential fight with the Zaffins, yada yada yada, they can call out to any nearby pledged ship and say, hey, I'm over here at Planet X and I need help. And the call goes out, and any nearby ships or any ships in general that hear the pledge, if they so choose, can come out and help. These call-outs are also monitored by the fleet at the fleet headquarters in the beautiful city of Armenelos, a convocation which has been running for many years. It's always staffed, day or night, by various admirals, various members of the science ministry, and the leaders of academia. How the hell do you pronounce that word? However you pronounce it. Eggheads, Kai's husband, Professor A to Z, or whatever his name is, I've never bothered to release what his name is, has sat on this board. Grand Dame Hannah Ben Sherlamp has sat on this board. Sisters also attend this board, and they wait to see if something just like this, like a call out, comes up, and then they listen to it and then debate the merits and determine what, if any, action the fleet will do at a command level. Captain Davage calls out and says, hey, we need help here over the planet Xandarr. That he had seen courage and valor from the common people of Xandarr, and that the King Balor, the only surviving member of the House of Xandarr, as far as we know, Princess Marla's status is unknown. Remember, even though it looked like Sig put her on a stake, just like Vlad the Impaler, if there's no body, yeah. Anyways, that Balor, one of Xandarr, seems to have turned a leaf, went from a worthless rich playboy to someone who actually was concerned for his people, would humiliate himself, get on his knees and beg for his people, which he did before Captain Davage. Davage is like, what are you doing? You know, this isn't something Zaffin potentates do, but this one did. And it took him a while to come to terms with that. But seeing the heroism of the people, the common people in the tunnels, how they sacrificed themselves to give him time to send out a message, how they took whatever vessel was available and flew in the skies against these Shadow Tech ships, it took some moxie, and it impressed the captain, and he determined that the king was being sincere and that he has a worthy cause. So Captain Davage says, our pledge, and the one that he took right as they blasted off from Blanchford Village, is to defend life, not to ferry admirals about from one posh cotillion to another, or to collect taxes. And we saw that earlier in the book when they blasted off from Blanchford Village. Captain Davage was looking at the callouts and the tags, like, what's hot out there? Where are we going to take this vessel? We have a universe of choices. Where are we going? And the fleet doesn't work like it does in like Star Trek, where there's, the admirals say, go here and check this out, or go here or go wherever. Fleet captains have a lot of say in where their ships go, only in unusual circumstances, like if an admiral is very close, like within a couple 100,000 stellar miles, or the event that there's a general league battle declared, the captains can pretty much do what they want. So Captain Davage is looking for callouts, looking for tags to see where to take the seeker, and there's a lot of tags for ferrying admirals. Admirals like to go to their meetings and conferences in style. I guess in my league world, my made-up league world, there is no Zoom. Well, there could be, if you really wanted it, but they tend to do things very hands-on. They write handwritten letters. If there's something that needs to have a meeting, they usually go in person. It's considered bad form or common form, something commoners do, to get on a video call or video chat with someone and do it that way. Now, you're supposed to get your butt there in person and get there in style. And nothing is more stylish than having a warbird bring you to one place or the other. So there's a lot of call-outs for that, to take the admirals here and there. There's also a lot of call-outs to collect unpaid tribute, basically back taxes from whomever, and pay to whomever, whoever is owed money. Some could be the fleet, it could be the sisters. The sisters do that, but the sisters usually handle that themselves. Or it could be some local lord who's demanding his tribute. It happens. Sometimes if things get rowdy enough, they call in the fleet as their gun hand and muscle to make sure that these taxes are collected. Anyways, Davage says, no, we're here to defend life. And right here on Xandarr is where life needs defending. So he puts the call out, and we haven't seen what the response is. Might be no response, or might be limited response. We'll see. We will resolve the horrific issues over planet Xandarr in this short chapter, and then we only have a couple left, and then we will be done. We will be done. So if you've stuck with me since the beginning, give yourself a round of applause. Before we continue, I'd like to go over today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by absolutely no one. Just thought I'd throw that in. Let's proceed, shall we? After my pedantic attempt at humor, Part 3, Chapter 25, Skies Full of Silver. After Davage made his call to the fleet, the waves filled with chatter. Unfortunately, it wasn't the kind of chatter he was hoping for. "Captain," the comm cried, hanging onto his console, "Camilla, Baroness of Xandarr, has pledged to plant her lozenge on Xandarr and is en route with her armada of 10 GOM 52 battleships. She has called for her allies on Charn and Midas to help her claim her new fiefdom." Have her allies answered her call? "Aye, sir, they have, though the forces pledged have not been openly said." Davage turned to the wheel and sighed. Should he somehow survive the Shadowtech nightmare engulfing him, he could then expect a pitched welcome from Camilla and her forces. More bad news from the comm. "Captain, Lord Chloe of Zorin has declared the cleansing of Xandarr a momentous occasion and proclaimed the Black Hats heroes. He has vowed to wait until the Black Hats have had their fill of blood, and then he shall occupy Xandarr, plunder its remaining wealth, and enslave any who might have survived. He swears to plant his arms on the ruins of Xandarr Keep and has raised a bounty on King Balor's head, dead or alive." And on, the various Zaffin clans were lining up to feast on whatever was left of Xandarr's tortured carcass. "Captain," Lieutenant Verlin cried, "with respect, sir, we cannot stand here. Either we shall be consumed by Shadowtech or overwhelmed by Zaffin forces. This place is lost." He spun the wheel and banked away from a pesky flock of Shadowtech birds. Perhaps she was right. The comm again. More bad news, no doubt. Captain of Combat Wing of 4 Privateers of the 5th Fleet under the command of Captain Venville of Sala has answered the call and is sworn to interdict Camilla's armada. He is en route to intercept her even as we speak. Finally, a good bit of news. Captain Venville is a skilled man. What class of vessels does he command? 3 Sprint-class vessels and a Woodward-class scout ship. Against 10 Gome 52 battleships? No. Once this situation here has been attended to, we'll join the captain in space. The comm again. Sir, we're receiving a wire out of Baz that the 47th Marines have been sortied with a squadron of brigantine attack ships, in addition to a command escorted by the Exody and Boxwood. They are to enter the theater at once. Good. The Marines will be of critical assistance to Captain Venville and his privateers, and the guns of the Exody and the Boxwood should put Camilla to the wind. A private wire came in. Lieutenant Verlin tore it off and read the notice. "Captain," she said, "the convocation of the Admiralty and Sisters has adjourned at the fleet. After some debate, they agree with your assessment and have declared this engagement a general battle, and to that end, 3 fighting armadas are being assembled for immediate launch, including 5 admirals and 3 grand abbesses of the Sisterhood." A general battle? The Admiralty hadn't declared such a thing since the Second Battle of Merendra III. Such a declaration would call for the involvement of the bulk of the serviceable fleet. "What is the designation of this battle?" he asked, somewhat thunderstruck. He had hoped for a few combat formations, possibly a small armada. But this? Lieutenant Verlin looked at the notice. "League Battle 37. Battle of Xandarr." He gripped the wheel and spun away from a Shadowtech beast. "Well, King Balor, you got your wish. There's gonna be a fight here sure enough." When Johnny, Peter, and Poe and Carahil emerged through the machine, they instantly had to find something and hang on for dear life. The Seeker was bucking and rolling like never before. Outside, they heard explosions and roaring. They made their way to the front glass and could see the gut-wrenching gyrations of the ship as it tumbled about. They heard the superstructure of the Goshawk twisting and torquing with the movement. Outside was a gallery of soaring black ships, a blackened sky, and huge Shadowtech monsters raging here and there. Being at the very front of the ship, they were feeling the full effect of Davage's bucking. Clearly, Captain Davage wasn't trying to get the Seeker out of the area to safety. He was engaged. He was in this fight for keeps, gambling the Seeker's power against a whole world of Shadowtech enemies. They saw a silver canister shoot out and clear a huge hole in the black masses ahead. "So," Carahil said hopefully, unaffected by the movement, "here we are on Xandarr. I've no more secrets, no more games to play. This is what I saw in the Telmus Grove. I saw the death of this world and all those on it. And though they be Zaffin, I saw the end of their souls, the silencing of their dreams, and all the things they'd ever built smashed to dust, to be remembered as nothing more than poor victims of the Black Hat's wrath. I didn't want it, this responsibility, this burden, but it was given to me, and what was to be done? Was I to forget about them, to turn away and pretend that I didn't know their doom was nigh? No. Though they are Zaffins, I didn't care. I was going to save them, regardless. A screaming Zaffin and a screaming League citizen sound awfully the same. But Balance says I can't simply charge in and save them. I can't do that. Balance says you have to do it. You have to make the effort, and put yourself at risk, and weight the scales. Otherwise, I will consign them to an even worse fate later on. To save these people, I needed to be granted my arms. And I needed you. And I've brought you all here. I've manipulated you. I've imperiled you and pushed you to peer deep within yourselves, to see what sort of person lies within. And I've done this to empower you, to help me stop all of this, to help me save Xandarr, a planet of enemies. I risked everything, gambled everything on the notion that you fine people would want to save them too. And look at the people below fighting for their lives. Look at Lord Blanchford going nowhere, fighting a whole world of monsters. Now, Mother, Lord Ruthven, I'm asking you, what will you do? Another canister, this time hitting one of the huge beasts in the distance. The creature toppled over, dropping a mouthful of debris. The debris, on closer inspection, was people, dozens of them. What do you need, Mr. Carahil? Peter asked. I need some clear air. I just need a moment, and then it'll be all right, and I will save Xandarr. I will save these people. Peter jumped into the pilot's chair and began firing the ship up. What are you doing? Johnny said. Well, you saw it. All those people down there being killed en masse. I'm uncoupling the ship, and I'm going to go get Mr. Carahil his clear air. It's a mess out there, Peter. Look at it for creation's sake. You'll be swamped. Well, I don't care. They're just Zaffins, Johnny said. Yes, well, run and hide if you want. Poe sat down in the seat next to him. Lady Poe, he said, you should get to safety. I'm fine where I am, sir. Johnny rolled his eyes. Peter, you're not going anywhere without me watching your rear. What are you thinking? Give me a minute to get to my ship and I'll join you. You sure, Johnny? Yeah, I'm sure. A figure darkened the threshold. You're in my seat, Peter, the Duke said weakly, holding his side as he limped forward. You should be resting, Duke, Peter said. You can't fly my ship. It's got a lot more pull than you're used to. You'll auger right into the ground. You head to your ship and make ready to follow me. Carahil, I heard what you said. You wanted us here. You wanted us engaged. You wanted us to fight. So here we are, in the thick of it. We're gonna fight. Are you ready to do your part at last? Carahil twitched his whiskers. I am. You've all done your best and willingly, and I thank you. The rules have been met. Balance is weighted. The gods have their arms. As I just told your fine friend here, get me a bit of clear air, and you're going to see something you'll never forget. The Duke tried to smile. Oh, I'll bet. Well, you two, get to your ships. More people came into the ship. It was Sage and Tori, still wearing their dispensary gowns. You got room for one more? Sage asked, a bit unsteadily. Sage, you can't fly like this, Peter said. Well, he said, painfully holding his sore chest. You say I can't fly anyway, so what's the difference? Tori, get back into bed, please, the Duke said. You first, she said with a hoarse voice as she strapped into the co-pilot's seat, the fixed by fins glittering at her throat. The Ruthvens and Lady Poe exited. After a few minutes, they signaled that they were ready. You ready, Tori? The Duke asked. She smiled and gave him a kiss. Yep, let's go, she rasped. The Duke's Goshawk uncoupled from the front end of the Seeker. The sky was full of enemies. The Duke swerved this way and that, blasting his starbeams, trying to get clear, trying to find a bit of open space as the three smaller ships linked up. All around was a hailstorm of movement, the giant Seeker twisting and turning as agile as a fighter, blasting and dispelling everything that got near it. Johnny, Peter, and Sage swirled in their ships, firing at everything that moved. Peter's ship, one person heavy, Lady Poe sitting at his side. However this turned out, the Duke was proud of his men, proud of Tori, and proud of himself. Finally, he felt like a whole person. He felt like all the pieces were now in place. He felt fulfilled. He had come unwillingly to Xandarr, only to find himself at last in its Shadowtech-filled skies. The Duke was amazed at the volume of Xandarr ships in the air. There were transports, cargo ships, old rickety beaners, the occasional hot rod, and other assorted ships. If the Black Hats had thought the people of Xandarr were going to allow themselves to die quietly, they were badly mistaken. These people were going to go down swinging. He fired his starbeams. He didn't even have to aim. It was impossible to fire and not hit multiple enemy ships. The Seeker, with Johnny's Goshawk nearby like a stinging wasp, knocked down another Shadowtech beast, which toppled with a massive commotion. There was a clear spot, a bit of open air. Quickly the Duke flew into it, a wall of black all around like the eye of a hurricane. He looked back at Carahil and opened the cargo door. "All right, Carahil, you're clear. Let's see what you can do." Carahil looked at the open door. "As you wish, sir," he said, throwing himself outside. And Carahil floated in open space for a moment, leisurely surfing on the air as though he didn't have a care at all. Something glowed red at his throat. Suddenly there were 2 of him, like big silver tadpoles, then 4, then 16, dozens of Carahils. Hundreds of Carahils dotted the sky, then thousands, spreading with speed in a roiling silver wave over the whole planet. And they set to the Shadowtech beasts and the millions of black ships, clearing them, routing them, sending them back to nothingness. Chaos and clashing mediums of Shadow and Silvertech in the air, lances and flames and birds on the wing. 5 Warhawks of the League Vanguard roared down and began blasting away, trying to clear space and link up with the Seeker. A Goshawk, beset upon, spiraled out of control. Engines shot away. Sage of Ruthven fell into a churning cloud of Shadowtech, and 10 Carahils pulled him back out, bearing the stricken ship away. "Not today!" Carahil cried as they beat on the glass with their flippers. "One day your time will come, but it's not today, for I will not allow it. I can do anything I want. Today! Parade with me in the brightening skies and fear not the dark. A new day is at hand. Ha ha ha! Fly! Fly with me!" The black ring around Xandarr was replaced for a short period of time by a silver one, and the sickening black hat singing was replaced with trilling, joyous laughter. The Battle of Xandarr was quite a far-flung melee, spanning from Hoban to Conwell, deep in Zaffin space, in a number of small to large engagements. The most severe happening at 6 a.m. of Two-Pitch Nebula, where the Zaffin warlord Mathinazar put up a well-coordinated fight. Elsewhere, the fleet armadas met and turned back the various Zaffin forces mustered to attack Xandarr. A no-show in this whole ordeal was Baroness Camilla of Sarander, who was conspicuously missing from the proceedings, though her allies were met in space and sent away by the fleet. The quietest theater in the Battle of Xandarr was Xandarr itself. When the massive League Armada of 200 ships arrived, there was not quite as much for them to do as first planned. Most of the planet had been cleared and was rather sedate. On approach, they fought a pitched battle with thousands of black Shadowtech ships, which they fairly easily routed with Silvertech canisters provided by a busy Bethriel of Moan on the Exidy. Other than that, the planet was still, as if a massive storm had just been weathered. Every Xandarr city lay in ruins. Not a village or hamlet had gone untouched, but the people were still there. They lived. They had survived to stand on the wreckage and raise their fists into the sky. The Seeker, the Goshawks, and the defending people of Xandarr had, through valor and deeds, given the gods their arms, and they were saved, and a rising sun and a blast of silver. From the ruins of Xandarr Keep, from the fallen and smoking rubble, a fresh day dawned. A strange assortment of animals milled about on blasted rocks and watched the skies, once clogged with swirling black, return to purple. There was a tabby cat with a long flicking tail. There was a monkey and a brightly colored crane. Sitting on his huge rump nearby was a gigantic elephant. All of the animals had dull red eyes. They were more than just animals. They were demons. The cat looked at the skies and closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them again, they were no longer red, but soft green. The monkey and crane followed suit. Their red eyes changed to normal. As Carahil had promised, they were demons no more. They had been granted a second chance. "Thank you, Carahil," the cat, monkey, and crane said. The elephant sat there, his eyes still red. The others approached him. "To be forgiven, Mayax, you must first forgive yourself," Mabs the cat said. "They're all dead because of me. The children are dead. I promised I'd protect them." The cat nuzzled his huge gray legs. Well, then go to them in the lands beyond, and say you're sorry. The way is open for you now. You needn't be a demon any longer. I'm sure they'll forgive you. Mayax thought about it. His eyes stayed red. And with that, we conclude Part 3, Chapter 25, Sky is Full of Silver. So a lot of things coming together that was established earlier in the book. We saw Carahil multiply himself into thousands of, probably millions of versions of himself. And the reason he could do that is because he got a bright stone and had swallowed it. And that was the whole point of going into the hazards of the old ones with Lieutenant Kylos, was to get a bright stone. And with the bright stone in his body, he's able to do these things. If he didn't have that bright stone, he wouldn't have been able to multiply himself like he did. So that little plot thread came together. Also, the Duke mentions that he found himself in the skies over Xandarr. And if you recall, when the Duke was first introduced, it mentioned that the Duke was sort of half of a person, where he was always struggling to find himself, to find purpose, to find meaning. What was he there for? And he always seemed to look in the wrong places. He doused his confusion with alcohol and women and adventure and so forth. Was never able to come to grips with who he actually was as a person. But here in Xandarr, flying into an impossible situation with all these Shadow Tech ships, with his future Duchess, Tori Jane, with him, with his friends, the Ruthvens, doing something that seemed to be worthwhile. That was enough for him to discover himself, what it'd be like to be a whole person with the woman he loves and with his friends, and doing something that was bigger than himself. And he's able to reach that conclusion in the Shadow Tech-filled skies of Xandarr. So, Carahil, multiplying himself into thousands of, possibly millions of copies of himself, sweeps all the Shadow Tech away. He is able to do this because the actions of the various people, the Xandarrs, Captain Davage, and the Duke, going out to willingly put themselves at risk to fight in Xandarr, gave Carahil the ability to do these things, to use his full power and do what he needed to do work a miracle, basically, over Xandarr. There must be various versions of this book, because I remember there being more to this that was actually in this script. I remember when the fleet accepted Davage's call out and declared a league battle, that Admiral Pax, who Davage would be under, who would be commanding Captain Davage, sent him a message to say, stand your ground. And that's what he did. And it's not in this one. Who knows? There's a lot of different versions of this book. And I guess in this one, he doesn't say that. I kind of wish he did, because I kind of like that, but whatever. So that's the issue over Xandarr that has been cleared. Next week, Part 3, Chapter 26, Lord Milton's Secret. We discuss more about Lord Milton and the aftermath of the Battle of Xandarr. And then Chapter 27 is the final chapter. And then we have a short epilogue. So we got about 30 pages left, and we are done with the Hazards of the Old Ones. Very early work in my stable. It's the second book in my League of Elder series, and I see areas where I could have done things a little bit better, but there's still the seed of good things there. I think I like this story. It's a little long, but I like how it resolves itself. In any event, this is Ren Presents. I am your host, Ren. See you next week. Peace out.